Matisse Thybulle is officially a YouTube star. Within 2 weeks, Matisse, once known as the rookie who messed up the Chick-fil-A order for the 76ers,
This guy got 6 biscuits for 20 people.
Matisse
was able to take a YouTube channel and gain 300,000 subscribers, get 1 million views on 4 separate videos, and be featured on the LA and New York Times. And on top of that, he got an interview with Good Morning America and also a shout out from the platform's most famous vlogger, Casey Neistat. And this all happened in 2 weeks. So how did he get there? To find that out, we're gonna have to go back. Matisse was always destined to be a basketball player.
I mean, before I can even remember, my mom and dad told me that they had got me some little hoop, and for some reason, I just never let go of the ball.
But he was always different too. His dad, a Haitian immigrant who became a chief mechanical engineer at Hewlett-Packard, said himself,
I thought for the longest time he was gonna grow up to be a preacher.
Now, of course, that didn't happen, but he found something else: photography. Some of his best friends, Matt and Joe Lipson, taught him the ropes of photography and were huge influences on his work. Hanging out with his friends with the cameras ended up with experimentation. Eventually, somewhere down the road, it led him to video making. And that's just sort of how it goes. If you're like a budding photographer that's really into YouTube, the two are gonna meet at some point. It's just basically inevitable. I mean, it's like a whole different challenge in itself. Photography is where you're trying to find the correct frame and then the correct colors and the right moments. Whereas in video, you're trying to get the frame, but everything's in motion. You're trying to capture a moment, but in video form. Casey Neistat, the huge vlogger we already talked about, was of course a huge inspiration.
Making up for this oversight will require some surgery.
Now, he had all of these ideas and thoughts and methods in his mind, but he had no real way to express them as a full-time basketball player.
Thybulle with a rejection of Walker.
But then everything happened. So he took those ideas and turned to TikTok.
So now the NBA season's been put on hold, and we've been advised to self-quarantine ourselves. The only logical thing for me to do at this point is to start making TikToks.
Yeah, I was confused too. When I saw that video, I was like, bro, what is he doing? This is not it. I thought he was another one of those cringy dudes, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, that's what I thought. But what I thought was another rookie that was being lost to the system was actually something a lot more profound than just that. He's a mind that gravitates to platforms where he can express himself creatively, and video and photography are 2 big ways for him to do that. And of course, you have a lot of people like that on TikTok, so he put the 2 together. The thing that really struck me about that was that he was a player that wanted to go beyond basketball. So he did that for a while, dilly-dallying around, had some pretty cool transitions and stuff. But then, of course, Matisse got the chance to really shine when the NBA came back.
The NBA and the Players Association have formalized their plans for Orlando.
The bubble in Orlando, what the NBA was marketing as a whole new game, was so potent because of so many different factors. 1, it was the response for the world's 2nd largest sport and its biggest league. 2, the decision came after so many people thought that the NBA would be canceled after March 18th. And 3 was that it was such an odd pairing. I mean, you have Disney World and professional athletes slammed together.
It's the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse.
Not just professional players, but NBA players in an enclosed environment. Meaning that only the players and a select few would be able to see the NBA and Disney extravaganza. Meaning that what goes there stays there. Meaning that people wouldn't know what the world's most famous summer camp looks like. So when the cameras came out, the attention was spiked. I mean, there are people that were desperate to see the food, they were desperate to see the players, the protocol, the masks, the lobby, everything. And luckily for us, this all happened in 2020, so the players were very comfortable with and actually really willing to show what the life in the bubble looked like. Thus, the bubble became the best place for an NBA player to find viewership. Because the most important reason of why this is so interesting is because it is unprecedented. This is something that has never happened before in the history of the world. We've never had a group of the world's most famous people all in the confines of one location trying to fight off a global pandemic and try and hold games normally after being suspended for 140 days. That's just not normal. Having a situation like this is the equivalent of having a historical lightning in a bottle. This is something that's never gonna occur again with the same amount of shock value. In the future, if it happens, at least people know what it'll look like because the precedent has been set within Disney World. But in the year 2020, nobody knew what it would look like at all. No one knew it would fail or succeed. I didn't even know. If you guys check out another video, I was quite skeptical of it. And of course, we didn't know how that was gonna look. The NBA and Disney World. But anyway, I digress. Fans are already really interested in the players' lives and an inside look upon how they operate. I mean, if you look at the Toronto Raptors Open Gym, it's a very successful series that looks on the inside of the players of the Raptors. Even Milwaukee jumped on the hype train with their own series. But of course, those still fall short. They're facilitated by some other entity. It's not necessarily the player in their true form. It's the player that's sort of cleaned up for the brand image. And people don't necessarily find that as appealing. For example, Jimmy Butler's YouTube channel. People found a lot of appeal of that because it was actually him. There wasn't any glossening or anything. There wasn't any agenda that was to be pushed that, oh, the Heat are hardworking or everything like that. It was just Jimmy Butler and a camera and an editor. You could even say the same with Cam Newton. Him being a free agent and having to go through all of the different struggles, he's gone viral multiple times because people really want to see what it's like living like Cam Newton. And even the very controversial Antonio Brown, his channel got a lot of attention back when he was still not hated by literally every football fan in existence. Even Tyreek Hill, the NFL's fastest player, he just pulled back-to-back million-view videos with destroying and with the other NFL legends Terrell Owens and Ocho Cinco.
About a whole arena, man. A whole arena, one Instagram post, 3 hours. Talk to some police officers over there. And what's happening is that Tyreek didn't contact the school board, so they're not allowed to play on this property. This is the power of a football player, man.
So players are taking an interest in this, and of course there's an audience because people really want that inside look of an extraordinary life. And even though they might be ordinary personalities. Like for example, you see so many people in the comments section. Go into any highlight that features the 3 players that are vlogging the bubble right now. Matisse, of course, JaVale McGee, and Troy Daniels. If you see any highlights with them, they know them. Technically. That's how vlogs are supposed to make you feel, by the way. Wink, wink. And speaking of appealing, let's talk about the editing of his videos, man. Sheesh.
Darling, you send me, I know you.
So when you tie this natural desire for outsiders to be wanting to look in, an unprecedented situation, and very high production value, then you have Matisse Thybulle's vlogs. Oh, he didn't have to... There are a few ways for celebrities to gain notoriety. Number 1 is be ridiculously good at your job. To the point where people who aren't even acquainted with the thing that you do are amazed or impressed by what you're doing. Think like LeBron James or Steph Curry or MJ or Kobe. Guys that are so supremely good at one thing that it amazes everyone that watches. For example, Tiger Woods. I would watch him golf or I'd watch Serena Williams play tennis, but on a normal occasion, you know, I'm probably not doing that. But there's another less touted way to get notoriety. And Matisse has hit that on the head. He's hit the bullseye. He's done everything. It's actually a theory of multiple parts, so bear with me. First off, you have to be good at whatever you do, whether that be acting or playing a sport or something else like that. You have to be good enough to the point where you're considered a celebrity. So whereas you're an NBA player or you're in like a live action movie or something like that. But the second thing is that you have to be pristinely good at something else. Better than the average person, to the point where the talent that got you to be a celebrity in the first place allows for your other talent to be shown. And of course for Matisse, that's video making. If he was just another random guy on the street, we're not watching those vlogs. If he was even just an NBA player, you're not gonna have 1 million people watching, or the New York Times calling, or Flight Reacts reacting to your video. You're not gonna be doing that. So when you take that unique situation, something that people will actually want, you take that demand, which in this case is of course content, as you're able to meet that perfectly with the skill set that you have, then you're gonna blow up in that other category. You're going to increase fame. And what's doubly unique about this is that you're able to foster a connection. YouTube is so different than the other traditional mediums. Like I said before, you watch vlogs for the connection. And you're watching, and whether you like it or not, you're forming a connection with them. And when it's done very, very well, and the demand is very, very high, then a lot of people experience that same type of connection. Your brand value is increased if you're able to provide something that is valuable. And in this case, Matisse is definitely able to do that, and at a very well-received rate. JaVale McGee also has a YouTube channel documenting everything about the bubble, but his claim to fame is, of course, Shaqtin' a Fool.
He wasn't in the game long enough.
People know him for that. Of course, that's not necessarily a talent, but it's something that is in demand and something that he was meeting. Funny clips by NBA players, and JaVale was basically the master at that. So JaVale's able to use this to reinvent himself, basically. From the guy that was on Shaqtin' all the time to this really funny, this really down-to-earth guy that we're able to have a connection with. Now, no one thinks about him like that anymore. No one thinks of him as like the guy who couldn't even walk up the court or something. But Matisse is special because he's a rookie. He didn't have any notoriety before this. He didn't have any claim to fame besides the Chick-fil-A fiasco, 6 biscuits.
Nobody even asked for one.
But beyond that, he didn't have anything until he popped up with this. And I can guarantee you, whenever there is a Matisse Thybulle highlights, there's going to be people in the comments section that are raving about his vlog, saying, yeah, that's my dude right there, or that's my tuber, or something like, I don't know what they'll be saying, but people know him now. Whereas before, people didn't have a connection with him. They just knew him as that one rookie, that one guy who couldn't order enough biscuits. But now we know him as this super smart, this super humble, this super cool guy. That's the power of YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. Let me let you know that's a very powerful. So when you take the quality times the uniqueness of the situation times the character that is so wholesome and everybody really likes, you would be hard pressed to find someone who dislikes Matisse Thybulle. When you take those things together, then you have the phenomenon that is Welcome to the Bubble. The reason that everyone is drawn to watching him and people are writing stories about him is not just, of course, because of the production value, which is very good, by the way.
My type of editing, okay.
But he's relatable in very many ways. Take that chair thing that he was doing with whatever, I don't know what that was. That was really funny, wasn't it? The way that a lot of people would react when they see a really odd object that is sitting in the middle of their room and they have to find out a way to use it. That was really interesting. And the way that he paced it was perfect. But anyway, that's enough talk. Relatability is something that's huge with professional athletes. For example, the tired trend of Steph Curry about him being an everyday man because he's only 6'3" and 185 pounds and he only shoots threes and doesn't rely on his athleticism and all that. That's one of the main reasons why people said he became so popular, which I somewhat disagree with, but I also find truth in. I mean, honestly, if I'm going to the gym, I'm more than likely going to take a deep three like Curry or do a little step back or something than try and chase down block like LeBron. But LeBron, of course, has those moments as well. For example, Taco Tuesday. That swept the nation. Everyone was saying it. It was a huge thing because that's just something that was normal. It's not, of course, going to chase down Block Iguodala in the finals, but it was still impressive. It still made waves because people could relate with that. He was really excited about eating his tacos, so he's got Taco Tuesday, you know what I'm saying? And beyond that, what makes his vlog so good is the cast of characters around it. Kyle O'Quinn and Tobias Harris are some of the funniest dudes that I've seen on YouTube, and that doesn't mean within NBA or anything. Those dudes are funny. And when you put them together with Matisse Thybulle, and then you have a perfect dynamic that's very akin to other very popular sitcoms.
Anybody want a bite?
Think about like David Dobrik and the way that he operates his vlogs. I don't watch him, but I watched a spectacular analysis by Colin and Samir as to why David Dobrik was so popular. I'll leave it in the description below. Those three and their dynamic, that just adds to the relatability. Like going even to JaVale's vlog, you could see Dwight Howard and Alex Caruso and JaVale, the way that they mesh. That's also a very interesting dynamic. They're just things like those that draw the viewer in and make them immersed. The best thing about the bubble so far, in my opinion, has been Matisse Thybulle. When I did research about him for this video, there were so many different facts that I unearthed about him that were amazing to me. From him visiting a 7-year-old at the hospital when he hadn't even played a game yet in Philadelphia, or the time that his dad named him after a French artist, or even the scenario with his mother passing away from leukemia and the way that he felt for her, and the way that he looked on life forward.
Mom's not here to be an example for me anymore, but I think that for the time I was lucky enough to have her in my life, that I learned more than I'll ever be able to understand.
It was really amazing to see another personality out there in the NBA like Matisse Thybulle, and I was blown away, honestly. And the bubble and YouTube have been able to broadcast all of this to millions of people. Matisse Thybulle has been the best thing to happen to the bubble. He was able to provide the insider access that people were so desperate to see, and he did that in the best possible fashion with the best production and all of that, with addition to his authenticity and uniqueness. He was a jersey number 22, Matisse Thybulle, but now he's Matisse the vlogger, Matisse the YouTuber, and now you have a connection with him. And everyone loves him now, as opposed to the people who only knew him before. And all of that aligns perfectly with his ultimate goal in life, wanting to leave the place that he entered a better place before he leaves. In his own way, beyond just basketball. And he's on the right path, arguably better than any other player in the NBA.
I want people to be able to walk away from interacting with me or working with me or whatnot and like be better for it. I want to at least have left them with something valuable, like have them been able to take something away. And whether, even if it's not a person, whether it's basketball, that I left the game better having played it than if I hadn't.
Nah, scrap the arguably, he definitely is. Thanks for watching. We'll see you later.
Darling,
Ooh, if you couldn't tell, that is a Matisse painting.
send me. I know.